I would like to start by plugging in my Patreon page. Yes, I started a Patreon page. So for $5 a month, $5, which is like a Starbucks coffee, I guess. Not even Starbucks is even more than that these days. You can have access to different things. I'm still building it, to be fair. So just uh, click in. I'll put the link below and check it out when you get a chance, and you'll see at least the benefits you'll get from being a Patreon of Horror and Coffee. I saw Sinners. I'm a little late in the game with this, but wow. Can I just tell you that this movie uh is arguably next, in my opinion, next to The Lost Boys, one of the best vampire films I've ever seen. Okay? I should do a vampire like rating, a ranking of the best vampire movies in my opinion. But definitely Sinners will be in that list because it stars Michael B. Jordan and a host of other people. And the story goes like this. It takes place in 1932 in the South, I think in Mississippi or something. I might be off on the state, but Michael B. Jordan plays not one but two people, twins, who just came in from Chicago after doing their Al Capone kind of lifestyle, and they wanted to like open up their own little. I guess they had a name for it. I lack the knowledge of the name, but it's kind of like their own little getaway club to make money, drinks, dance, music, things like that. And they have also a cousin, a relative, who is also very talented on guitar and singing to help bring in people, bring in money, right? And what's interesting about this film is that it doesn't jump right into the vampire thing. What it tends to do is give you a sense of just a basic early 20th century drama about African Americans living in the deep south trying to, get by and trying to make their living, and that comes along with their relationship issues and their drama, which you do see in this film, which I thought was depicted very well, excellently. Okay, like it could have just been not a horror movie at all without vampires, and it would still probably been a good movie to watch, to see this beautiful story unfold, because to me it was just that, a beautiful story. But then the vampires come in, right? These Irish vampires, I think they're from Ireland or whatever, and they start eventually coming in and they try to um, crash the party. But as vampires, if you know anything about vampires, they can't go anywhere without being invited in. So you have the tropes that come with being vampires: the garlic, the holy water, the inviting in, the stake through the heart. All that plays out here, and I think its delivery on how it plays out is very, very amazing, and it even gives you the sense of that these vampires, as much as they're the antagonists of this film, and they're like the bad guys basically. What they seem to be trying to do is kind of like the what we're trying to do as basic people, and that's trying to survive and make a life for ourselves. Now their lives are obviously different, they're vampires, but they, you can't I couldn't help but feel a little bad for them. There's a little empathy going on there with them, and I found that to be very refreshing. Again, this movie was definitely unorthodox and unconventional in regards to its delivery, and I really appreciated that, and I really enjoyed it. um the other part that I really got a kick out of was there's a scene where they're dancing and enjoying, and this guy is doing his music on the guitar, where that and this is tied in from the very beginning, where there's a statement talking about the spirits of the past and the spirits of the future and the spirits of the present combining. Music tends to break down the veil and let those spirits in, spirits of the future, what's to come, and what was. And you see it visually in a visual, amazing scene. This is my favorite scene, to be honest with you. It's not even the vampire sucking thing, blood and all the gore. Nah, this was the scene. As a musician, as a guitarist, I so loved and appreciated that scene. It's like you saw. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you saw the music of the past, the rhythm and blues, the blues music of the early 30s, that the African, that was very prevalent in the South, especially with African American, the African American community, where they incorporated blues and gospel and all these things. And you see it kind of like become this amazing, you see this thing about past, present, future visually, right? You see music of the future show itself in the scene. I'm not going to give you specifics. Watch this and you'll see what I mean. I absolutely lost my mind on that part. That was so effing good, yo. The elephant in the room, of course, in the 1930s, African Americans, Deep South, you know where I'm going with this, right? Is the whole, unfortunate, tragic, evil, even reality of racism of the time, of the zeitgeist, where they tend to, and you see that here, and you see how they try to work that out. Not the vampires, but the guys that kind of like sold them the property to do their parties. You see how that plays out here too. I mean, the audience was so engaged in the theater. There was clapping, people were shouting, people were loving. Like it was one of these movies that left you hanging at the edge of your seat and left you engaged to the point that you just loved it. And and stay tuned, stay for the end of the stay through the credits all the way to the end, because there are a couple of post-credit scenes. Don't get up and walk out when the words start coming up. No, it's not a Marvel movie, but it definitely takes a cue from Marvel, and you know what, we should do that, and they did. I think the main character was not so much Michael P. Jordan, who played the twins, and I loved how they did that. At first, I thought they weren't twins. I thought those were two different actors that just looked similar, and then as they kept on going, I realized, oh my God, these are the same two guys. This is the same guy. This is the same one guy. How did they do that? That was really good the way they did that, right? So the technology these days, what you can do, I'm telling you. I think that when you see a movie like this, you see its ramifications both from the standpoint of history regarding racism in the South in the 1930s, and then you see the vampire lore manifest itself in the second half of the film, especially in the third act, when everything goes crazy. You see Michael P. Jordan's characters, both of them, with their subsequent relationships with their particular others, which you see in this movie, and how that pans out in the movie. You get to understand where they're coming from. You get to understand how they feel. Not just them being like gangsters from Chicago, but one of them being a former soldier in the First World War. That's the sense I got, that they were, that this guy had military experience, and you see that play out here too. It's an amazing, well-bred story that starts in 1932 and ends in 1992. I'll leave that there, right? Because when you see how this, because it's vampires live forever, right? Supposedly, unless they die from those vampire means. But when you see it, when you see what happens, it's great. The music, incorporation of the history of music. You see, I'm a rock guitarist. And when you see the roots of rock stem back from those time periods of the early days of blues and gospel and rhythm and those things that are of the African American persuasion. I've never believed that rock music was white people music. No, that's not. It's from the African American persuasion from those times. And I'm so freaking, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for that. And that is so important. to acknowledge and to appreciate, which I do so much. Thank you. My hat goes out to the movie makers, the filmmakers of this great movie, of incorporating again the musical angle in this story, in this supposed horror movie. Yeah, it's vampires, but it's more than just that. It's about the people, even the vampires. It's about them too. I'm gonna give Sinners 4 coffee cups. I loved it. It was an excellent story, and I persuade anyone to go see it. You will not be disappointed, in my opinion. You will love it. If you like vampire movies, this is your thing. This will be your thing. Okay? It starts out very subtle, but then it ends with a bang in regards to the vampire element. And you won't be disappointed. So if you saw the movie already, come back here, or if you haven't seen it, come back and talk to me. Comment below and share with me your thoughts on Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. Again, excellent movie, excellent time. And if you like this review, and if you like what you see on this channel, please consider subscribing and tap on the bell for future notifications for future horror and coffee content. Because we got coffee, we got horror movies. In my opinion, Sinners is the first horror movie this year in 2025 that I actually got wowed with. I mean, there was a few that were, I was like, oh, that's good. Nah, this one, so far, blew me away. So please go check it out and let me know what you think. This is Ralph Perez, Horror and Coffee. Enjoy your week. And until next time, and remember, check out the Patreon and the Buy Me a Coffee link, which I will put below. Thank you. Later.